Alrighty, so welcome to video 2, part 2 of 3 in my video series on orchestrating a short film score of mine and actually recording it with an orchestra. If you're coming from part 1, some of this is going to be a little bit of a repeat, so you can go ahead and just skip on to the actual start of the video. I put chapter markers below, but if you haven't watched part 1, it might be worth you doing that unless you're really just interested in the actual sheet music notation part, in which case you're in a great spot. But basically what I did in video 1 was I took my MIDI mockup in Cubase and I cleaned up my MIDI so that it would import really nicely into Dorico. Dorico is the notation software that I use. It is made by Steinberg, which is the same company that makes Cubase, which is the DAW I use. And I've wanted to use Dorico for a number of years, but haven't because I was a Finale guy basically since I was 12. Finale was actually the first music software that I ever learned how to use, like before any DAW, before anything. And Finale recently announced that it was being discontinued. So I've wanted to switch to Dorico anyway because I've been really excited about it since I saw it launch. And this was kind of the kick in the butt I needed to do it. So I did it, and this is the second project that I've done in it, and it is incredible. It is so efficient. It is so fast. You're going to see some of the really amazing features that it has and the things that it's able to do. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into me actually notating this score in Dorico for the short film for No One Studio. See you on the other side. All right, welcome to the launch page of Dorico. This is the templates that I have, and I've made a template for Budapest scoring that has all the preferences that they like. All right, so here it is. These are the preferences that I made. This is what it looks like. If we go into setup, you can see all the players I have. Some of the players have multiple instruments, like Flute 2 also plays piccolo, oboe 2 plays English horn, clarinet 2 plays bass clarinet. And this is the thing about Dorico that's really, really special, and you're not going to see it because I didn't make this template on camera, but everything is set up very intentionally, and you kind of need to work in the order of the things that you see here. So you set things up, you write the music, then you move to engraving, and then you can print it. And so basically, the way that we're going to go through it is that way, and you'll be surprised how little you have to do basically after writing. But the first thing we need to do is we need to import this MIDI session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, Import MIDI. Now I need to go find where I put that MIDI file. Here it is. Okay, and then here's all my MIDI, and it kind of smart matches them, right? It knows Flute 1 should go to Flute 1, Flute 2 should go to Flute 2, Piccolo should go to Piccolo 1, and so on and so forth. And so I need to double check that it did all these correctly. I don't want it making any new players. I want it just using the players I already have. And this is why I label them so intentionally. Trombone, bass, trombone. This is right. Tuba 1 is right. Okay, so like here's an interesting thing. For some reason I put violin. Oh, because I didn't spell violin right. I did violin. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to strings and tell this that it should be a violin. Okay, and then we want that to be violin 1. Oh, we want it to be multiple people, not a single. So if I go to this, I want it to be violin 1. This is also strings a violin, and it needs to be violin 2. We don't want to create new players. We just want the ones that I already have in my score. So yeah, now that I've confirmed that all of these are already in the score, I don't want it to go to a new flow. I want it to go to my current flow. You can think of flows as like movements or like multiple cues. I'm just doing this all in one session, so it needs to all be like that. And then let's click OK and see what happens. Boom. Now if we look, we go out to where there's actually music. There's now music populated all throughout this score. And so this is why I did it the way I did it. If you look, I missed some key switches here. But if you look, like everything is where it needs to be already. All my music is in the right spot. The only thing I don't have is all my time signatures and stuff, which is why some of it looks weird. So in order to get all my correct time signatures in here, I'm going to go File, Import, Tempo Track, and then I'm going to click on the exact same MIDI. And what's nice about this you can make it whether you bring in the tempo and time signature information or not. So if you just do the MIDI, it just does the notes. If you do tempo track, it'll bring in the time signatures in the MIDI. So I click on the MIDI. I want it in the same. I want time signatures. I want tempo changes. I click OK. And boom. See, now all my time signatures are in here, including my tempos. And anywhere it changes tempos, I get a tempo change. If I can find one of those, I don't know. We'll find one as we go through. We might need to double check that it did do that. But either way, now if you look like back here where it was looking crazy, everything is on the beat and looks correct. So I'm going to go through. I'm going to make these decisions. I'm going to put articulations and dynamics. And then when it's finished, I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you and kind of explain what I did, and it'll look a lot nicer and be easier to explain. So here we go. Finished score, and probably Jesse in different clothes. We'll see. Alrighty, so how's that for another custom change? Here we are. We have a fully inputted score now, but I just want to show you. So if you look at this, I mean, this looks pretty bad. Like, stuff is weird. There's a bunch of clashes, and this is where Dorico's incredible. So like when you're inputting notes, you don't even worry about any of this stuff. And then if we go back, let's look at it again in page view. Okay, so here's page view. Again, it looks pretty terrible, but here is the magic. If I go to my layout and I go to players, condensing, and I enable condensing, I've done some custom condensing where my horns condense into 2 stabs instead of 1. Watch this. Okay, let's close it. Now look at this score. Oh my god, it's beautiful. Our string DVCs are on one line. Oboe 1 and 2 are on one line. I keep flute 1 and flute 2 separate because the flute 2 doubles on piccolo. Same thing with clarinet 1 and clarinet 2. But oboe 1 and 2, bassoon 1 and 2, horn 1 and 2, horn 3 and 4, trumpet 1, 2, 3, trombone 1, 2 are all on one staff, plus obviously the string DVCs. And this just automatically does them. I mean, like, look at that. That's freaking awesome. Okay, so the other thing we're going to do is I'm going to change my bass clarinet staff to be a bass clef. Boom. There it is. Okay, so basically I'm going to go through, might make some tweaks to this, but also just sort of show you how I made the decisions I made and how we got where we got. So basically, this cue really starts like here, and I probably... I don't know if I love the string harmonics being in DVC, but honestly, it doesn't, like, I feel like it's all artificial touch force, so they'll understand what's up as long as they can see the note they need to see. And Dorico did a pretty good job avoiding any of the clashes, so I think it's okay. I might go back on that. But basically it starts, here's this bit at 13, and we have flautando strings, and then oboes and clarinets, hairpins, crescendo, decrescendo, cello's up, decrescendo, cello. See, remember in the score where it changed to this sound? The way that I did that here is I just said random trems, sol pont, etc. And actually, I'm gonna make it like that, which is just a little bit better. See how it automatically makes room for it? It's freaking awesome. So yeah, so cellos will know to do random sol pont, and which means playing near the bridge of the cello, and tremolos there, which will be really cool. So let's keep listening. So then we have these string harmonics, which is where they they play the note they're gonna play, and then they touch a fourth above, which produces like a octave up version of the note that sounds really airy, kind of creepy. And then that's doubled with piccolo and flute. Right here. Decrescendo. Then we have our low stuff, and this is in bassoons, bass, clarinet. Really simple stuff all through here, right? But the important thing that you see is how I chose to do my dynamics. It's a lot of hairpins, which means like this sort of a thing where We crescendo into phrases, decrescendo out of phrases. We're starting piano, we're going to mezzo forte, which is pretty dramatic. So, and then we go down to nothing, which is what niente means, or silence. And then we have these string clusters here, and I put these 3 notes. They're a 3-note cluster. Even if they just played those, that'll be fine, which I might have them do on the day, but I also put pick a note and wander between random soul harmonics, etc., so that they can kind of do their thing, and we might get a little bit of movement as they kind of slide between the notes. But that starts right here. These should be in bass clef. It's not wrong to write the horns in bass clef, by the way. If they play down there, go ahead and put it in bass clef. They are used to it. But I can't do that while I have condensing on. So let me go ahead and change that back real quick. So I'm going to get rid of my condensing, apply. And then let's take my horn parts, and for now, let's just make them all bass clef. And let's go back and put condensing on. Apply. And let's go back to where we were in the score. See, that looks so much better now like that. So here's some interesting things going on here. We have those clusters. We have let's see. Everyone's playing. This is where we built out that orchestration in Cubase, and you can really see here where so we have cellos. They divisi down, so we get some of that real low octave stuff. And that's just going to make it sound even beefier. This is the point where it's telling me the tuba's out of range. So I'm probably going to go in and pull that up an octave and then just say 8BA if possible, sort of a thing. So yeah, I should do that actually. So why don't I grab all these notes, shift, let's move them up an octave, and then we'll add a bit of text here that says 8BA if possible. And we can talk about it on the day too if for whatever reason they don't understand that, but they should. Yeah, it just means take it down the octave if you can, which again, there are the ranges that you see online and stuff, and then there's what the people in the sessions tell me, and they almost always never match. They can almost always go further down than I think they can. So, and then they give me a hard time for not putting them down there. Yeah, so we're continuing to go here. We have all these doubles. Yeah, that's kind of nasty right there. Oh, it's because they have I should respell actually. So if you look at this double, see they're on the same staff. They have a flat and a natural. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, I'm going to get rid of condensing. I'm going to respell this note downward so it'll be a C sharp, not a D flat. And then when I go back and put condensing on, this will look a lot better now. Boom, yeah, that's a lot nicer looking. See, I did flutter tongue and the flute and piccolo. Big old nasty cluster chords. And yeah, chaos, just pick notes but end high. So I put like X note heads, and it doesn't really matter what notes they do. If they do the chosen notes, which a lot of them might, at least they'll start a second apart, so it'll be really nasty. And that's sort of why I did that note at the beginning and the end in that gliss part, and then just put a port between them and they'll slide up and be crazy with it. And then, yeah, moving on, we get these strings, flautando here. Nice flute solo. In fact, I should actually mark that this is a solo, just so they know. Solo. So they're not like, why am I playing and no one else is? We have some nice little trems here, and then we get this beautiful cello line. And I put espress so they really play it lovely and emotionally. It's short for espressivo. Oh yeah, baby. Little breath marks so they pause. And we get the big orchestra chords. I might reformat this page so it looks a little nicer. That's gonna sound so nice. And that texture was, I did clarinets, bass clarinet, clarinet, bass clarinet, bassoons, and then the 4 horns, and then double bass at the bottom. It's a really cool texture. Here's flute now. Here we're coming into the end. Some low trims. Oh, and I should actually... See, sometimes you just get weird stuff like this, and you gotta fix this. For whatever reason, it spelled this F as an E sharp. We don't want that, so we're gonna respell it upwards, and now it's just an F, which is what we actually want. So, 1, 2. Yeah, so there it is. So, same thing in the trombones. Low brass does the same thing, and then we have all our horns trumpet in unison. Bassoons are doing this same thing. We got to respell this right here. As you can see, I mean, this score looks pretty freaking close to finished. And here's the thing that's amazing. So I'm probably going to go and I might make some of these changes. I think there was a page I didn't love. It was this page. I didn't love this page. So I'll probably go in and change this page, which I can figure out exactly how I want to do that. But here's the thing that's amazing about Dorico. So in Finale, when you get a score finished, it's like half your work is done. Now you have to go format parts. Let's just pull up a part. Let's pull up a complicated part. Violin 1. Look how good this looks. I mean, it's like done. There's like a couple things, like I got to move some of this around, but usually when I pull up a part, it's perfect. Like there's nothing. It's honestly, it's astounding how good these look. I mean, if you used Finale, your mind is blown right now by these parts. They look incredible. It's wild how just right out the gate they look this good. It's crazy. Oh, and then the other thing I need to do is I need to do condensing in, if I go to my strings, I want to do condensing in here. Enable condensing, apply. So that it does the DVC. See? Does the DVCs for the cellos, and then I think violas had some DVCs. Yep, right here they have DVCs, and then violin 2s had some DVCs. Yeah, so I got a little bit of work to do. This is a little bit more complicated score than some of the other ones I've done in Dorico, but I mean, it's like basically done. And that's the thing about Dorico that's amazing, is that I don't have to spend a bunch of time. And then I would have to make like custom parts, because you had to do like the manual condensing of the staves, and then you have to split out the notes. So you have to like delete a voice to create the individual horn parts. It's just done. Like it's incredible. Okay, yeah, so I hope that was interesting for you and valuable. If you liked it, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe, because I am putting out a part 3 where we actually take this sheet music and we record it with the orchestra, which is just my favorite thing in the world to do. It's always nerve-wracking taking this music and putting it in front of players, because it feels so high stakes. The recording sessions are so short, and so the music really needs to be precise. It needs to communicate everything that I want to communicate, so that the musicians can do a take or two and then move on. So it's very adrenaline inducing, but it's a really incredible experience. So that's coming up in the next video. And I'm really excited to share that with you. If this video has been out for a while, part 3 is somewhere around me here, and you can click right on it. Otherwise, it should be out really soon. So yeah, I'll see you in part 3. Bye.